I'm always depressed. Right? And I told my friend, and then she was like, if you're depressed, take mushrooms, because they'll reset your brain. And so I took mushrooms, and they didn't reset my brain. They just made me listen to Usher. I'm sad. But yeah, my friend, she's always saying weird stuff to me. Like, we were having a conversation, and I said, I hope I never get herpes, which I think is a normal thing to not want. But then she was like, you can't say that. We're trying to destigmatize herpes. I was like, okay. I want herpes. She was like, that's not what I meant. I was like, okay, I need herpes. She's not talking to me right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but this is something I've noticed, is that when you're an adult, you're not allowed to be shy anymore. You know, because when you're shy when you're a kid, people are like, oh, she's shy. You know, like, it's cute. And then when you're shy when you're an adult, people are like, what's her fucking problem? And you're like, oh, nothing's changed. Because, like, I've always been shy, and when I started doing stand-up, I would shake on stage, and then audience members would come up to me after the show and be like, do you have Parkinson's? And I'd say, yes, I do. I need a ride home. And we're stopping at McDonald's. Yeah, sometimes people think I'm autistic too. I'm not autistic. I was just raised by Germans. I love to recycle. My grandpa, he actually fought in World War II, you know, on the German side. Some people might say a Nazi. Would a Nazi give you $50 for your birthday? Yeah, they would. They had a lot of money. Should have been a hundo. Your grandpa being a Nazi is kind of like when a guy finds out his friend's a sexual predator. You're just like, he's always been nice to me. That's social commentary. Has anyone here quit watching porn? Silence. I always love when it's silent. I quit watching porn, and I do miss it. I miss reading the comments. Like, once a comment just said, good. And I was like, that was good. I also miss those little advertisements that they play before the porn starts. You know, where it's like, are you tired of jerking off? It's like, no, that's why I'm here. I wish I was tired. Release me from this prison. But I quit watching porn because I felt like it was desensitizing me. You know, like my brain and my dick, they just weren't getting as hard as they used to. So I think that we as a society, we need to go back to 17th century horniness. You know, when you would read a really good poem and then you'd be like, oh, hear ye. You know, or a guy would see you covered in fabric from neck to ankle, and then he'd see one of your wrists slide out, and he'd be like, oh, I gotta go home and feed my horses. One of the things about, like, quitting watching porn is that now I have to learn to fantasize again, you know? And so at first I was just picturing porn in my head. And then my friend was like, you're supposed to put yourself in your fantasies. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy, okay. So I did, and now I picture myself with a giant clit so men can find it. But for some reason, I need like, you know when you're fantasizing and you need a reason for everything? Like you're like, where's the condom? You know, but it's a fantasy. Why do you need a condom? I'm like that with everything. I was picturing Tarzan, you know, not the cartoon, live action. And I was like, why is he so good at having sex? He's never met a woman before. He's been fucking these monkeys. But yeah, before I quit watching porn, I was seeing this guy, and he sent me a video of his favorite porn star. Yeah, don't do that. Because she had huge breasts, and I was like, I can't live up to that. But then I realized he couldn't live up to the porn I was watching either. You know, because he wasn't 3 guys. Okay, they like the gay porn. I'm always like making these little rules for myself, I guess to like try and be a better person. And I had made this rule where I was like, you're not allowed to sleep with a guy unless you actually like him. So then I didn't have sex for 3 years. But yeah, I'm back. And I was at a bar and I met this guy, and we exchanged numbers. And then we left the bar and we went our separate ways. And then a minute later, he sent me a dick pic. I could still see him up the street. I was like, oh, thank you. But yeah, it's like difficult to date when you're a female comic. Like, it's not for male comics, you know, because when a woman finds out a guy does stand-up, she's like, whoa, that's awesome. I can't believe you do that. And then when a guy finds out I do stand-up, he's like, you do stand-up? I could do stand-up. But I'm attracted to Bane. You know Bane from the 3rd Christopher Nolan Batman movie? Yeah. I always thought I was into Bane because he has that weird, deep voice. But then I went to a wrestling show, and a wrestler, he came out wearing that mask. And I was like, oh. And then he took the mask off, and I was like, no. So now I'm dating a guy who has sleep apnea. When he's going down on me and I want him to come back up, I just pull on the tube. Some of you are looking at me like, what? So there's this thing now, it's called an everything shower. It's like something women will do to get ready if they're going out for a date or for like a special occasion. It's like when you do everything in the shower, you know, you wash everything, you exfoliate, you shave, you lotion and oil after you do a hair mask. And I'm like, what are men taking? A one-thing shower. And then they're like, I'll get my asshole later. But I was getting ready for a date, and I was in the shower, and I had done everything, and then I got to my ass, and I was like, do I shave my ass? Is this guy worth an itchy asshole? And I shaved it. You know, and I went on the date, and we had sex, and then after we were laying in bed, and I was like, I shaved my ass for you. And he said, thank you. But I was complaining to all my guy friends. I was like, it's so hard to shave your ass. And then they were like, is it? We've never done it before. And I was like, that's male privilege right there. So I went to my best friend and I was like, can you believe these guys have never shaved their asses before? And she was like, I've never shaved my ass. And I was like, what do you do when they hit it from the back? And she was like, if they want to be back there, that's their problem. I was like, oh, I guess you have to pay the troll toll. Okay, you guys, that's been my set. Have a great night.